The first sound I remember wasn't the music. It wasn't my daughter laughing. It wasn't applause. It wasn't the clinking of champagne glasses. It was the sharp clink of a microphone being tapped, the kind of sound that freezes a room. And then my son-in-law said something so entitled, so calculated, that every single guest turned to stare at me. "Margaret, please come forward." I had no idea that in the next 60 seconds, I'd be forced to choose between keeping the peace or keeping my dignity. And I promise you this. He chose the wrong woman to corner. I was standing near the back of the wedding tent, holding a flimsy paper cup of lemonade, the kind that sweats through the sides and leaves your fingers cold and sticky. I didn't mind. I was too busy watching my daughter. She was dancing, really dancing, not the careful sway people do at formal events. She was laughing, spinning, letting herself be happy. Her white dress caught the afternoon sun, like it had borrowed light from somewhere better than this world. And for the first time in years, I felt something rare. Not excitement, not pride. The kind you earn after surviving things that should have broken you. That farm wasn't just land. It was history. My parents bought it decades ago with money they didn't have, back when soil was cheap and hope was expensive. I grew up with dirt under my nails and responsibility on my shoulders. I learned how to mend fences. Before I learned algebra, I learned how to stretch meals, how to spot a sick calf, how to keep going even when you're tired. Because stopping isn't an option. When my husband died suddenly, heart attack 52, the farm nearly died with him. But I didn't let it. I worked longer, harder, hands cracked, back aching, sleep stolen in hours, not nights. I raised my daughter there. She took her first steps between corn rows. Learned to ride before she learned to drive. Learned that work doesn't stop just because you're tired. That farm survived droughts, floods, market crashes, survived grief. And now, someone wanted to take it from me. With a microphone, Daniel came into our lives 5 years earlier. City educated, well-dressed, always talking about potential. He never called it a farm. He called it underutilized acreage. He talked about ROI. He talked about soil health. He worked in real estate, revitalizing properties. I should have paid more attention to that phrase. We were polite, careful, cordial. When he proposed to my daughter, I congratulated him. When he hinted about future development, I deflected. I assumed, foolishly, that boundaries were understood. They weren't. The microphone clinked again. Daniel cleared his throat. "Before we continue, there's something that needs to be settled." The music faded. Conversations died mid-sentence. Every face turned toward him, then toward me. He smiled. Not warmly, politely, dangerously. "Margaret, would you please come forward?" My stomach tightened before my mind caught up. I stepped closer. Gravel crunched beneath my shoes. My hands were still damp from the lemonade. He leaned in, just enough to sound respectful. "It's time," he said softly. "Hand over the keys to the farm." For a split second, I genuinely thought I'd misheard him. Then he straightened, raised his voice. "Today marks a new beginning. And part of that means the farm officially passes to me and my wife." A ripple moved through the crowd. Confusion. Whispers. Heat rushed up my neck. "Excuse me," said. He chuckled like I was forgetful. "The land, the house, the barns. We discussed this." "Well, we absolutely had not. You said you wanted your daughter secure, didn't you?" I looked at my daughter. She wasn't looking at me. She was staring at the ground. And in that moment, understood. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a plan. Something settled inside me. Not fear. Not shame. Clarity. I set the lemonade down. Slowly. Carefully. Then I reached into my purse. Every eye followed. Pulled out the keys. Held them up so the sunlight caught the metal. For half a second. It was half. I saw triumph flash across his face. Then I closed my hand. Mile. No. The word landed heavy. Dark. Clear. Whispers erupted. Daniel laughed too fast. This isn't the place for jokes. Oh, I agree, I said. That's why I'm not making one. My daughter finally looked up. Mom, she whispered. Did you know about this? I asked her gently. She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Daniel stepped closer. Let's not do this here. You already did. I turned to the guests. I wasn't aware my life's work was part of today's ceremony. Murmurs of agreement. But since it's been brought up, let me be clear. I raised the keys. This farm is not a bargaining chip. Not a dowry. Not a reward for marrying my daughter. Daniel's smile vanished. You promised to support us. I promised to love my daughter, I replied. I never promised to surrender my independence. Silence. Heavy. My daughter nodded through tears. The reception continued. But something had changed. People hugged me. Whispered support. That night my daughter came home. Sat at the kitchen table where she'd done homework. I didn't know how to stop him. You stop things, I said. By speaking when it's uncomfortable. 3 months later, she moved back home. The marriage didn't last a year. The farm still stands. The fields still breathe. He updated my will. Not to punish. To protect. My daughter will inherit the land one day. On one condition. She remembers this lesson. Love doesn't demand surrender. Respect is never handed over like keys. Entitlement wears a friendly smile. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do. Say no. When the whole room expects you to comply. If this story gave you chills, hit like, subscribe. And tell us in the comments. What's the most satisfying moment of justice you've ever witnessed? And as always, stay strong. And don't hand over your keys to anyone who hasn't earned them.